Welcome to Canada's podcast.
Hi, everyone. I'm Phil Bliss, founder and CEO of Canada's podcast, coming to you today from Toronto. Today, we're going to meet Steeson Mathew, who's all about driving innovation in urban mobility. Steeson is passionate about innovative ideas and always looking to promote innovation. As the founder of Loop Parking, he's pioneering smart parking solutions for cities. For the past 6 years, he's been a startup entrepreneur that has been dedicating to bridging technology and urban needs. And that's why he created Loop Parking, to efficiently utilize underused parking spaces. Loop Parking, with its AI-driven ParkSense Plus feature, offers drivers real-time parking availability that streamlines city life and reduces congestion. Steeson, welcome to Canada's podcast. It was great meeting at Collision, and I was kind of fascinated by his story, so I'm looking forward to telling it to others. Before we get too deep into conversation, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself? What you do and how you got here in front of me, kind of thing.
First of all, thank you, Philip, for having me. It is great to be here, and thank you for the opportunity. Yes, so we actually started. I'm basically an Indian. I moved to Canada about like 7 years ago as a student. I studied business management in Douglas, Vancouver. Then I slowly moved to Ontario to explore, again, businesses as well as more opportunities. At the same time, I also was working, doing another program in civil as a civil technician as well. So during the time of pandemic, I came across an opportunity where I could actually help people. So I studied in Sault Ste. Marie for my second program in Northern Ontario. So while I was in Sault Ste. Marie, the COVID started, getting really bad, and most of the local businesses were struggling at that time. So I had a proposal, I had an idea, so I reached out to the MP over there, and specifically Millworks, which is one of the entrepreneurship center over there. So we got a support from them, and we started a solution where we can able to aggregate like local service providers, because at that time, pre-COVID, or just when COVID started, when city did a study to understand what's going on, and all those surveys, they came across with all these restaurants. They said that they would be in trouble because of because of the pandemic issues, and they have to shut down. So they don't have enough money to float around. But the case was different because of all the food delivery companies. They could survive, and actually they thrived much better than what they have done before, right? So we came up with similar sort of idea for other businesses, for saloons, electricians, carpenters, and those kind of people. That we got some support from the city as well, and that we expanded it a little bit over there during the pandemic period, and it was very supportive. But after the pandemic, it was having a little bit of difficulty for expanding, since it's a marketplace and people use maybe like once in a year, or twice in a year. It was having like it's very difficult to expand, and it was a B2C sort of a model. So we were again, me, my brother, and a couple of other friends, we were started discussing on how we can able to identify a problem which solves everyday's problem, because that's what one of the things that we learned from the previous thing, because that engagement rate have to be higher, then only we can able to increase that lifetime value of that customer, as well as solve their problem for a everyday basis. So and I personally, I used to work in parking lots when I was in Douglas College, doing part time while I was studying. So I used to work in parking lot, but I was not a part of a parking lot company. But I used to do services for these tap and go cars and everything. But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
there is an event happening, or when it is in, we were working close to Rogers Center,
Yeah.
Rogers over there, and when there is an event happening, a lot of people would book the parking lot and the parking spot, and they when they come, it got overbooked, and they started yelling at us like, "Why I have to serve that parking spot, and why I don't have that?" So we would reply to them that saying that we are not responsible for it. We have no idea what's going on. So I always had this in mind. And personally, I also experienced it when I go to downtown, or like finding that parking spot is really really hard,
Yeah, it
and
is.
it's expensive as well, right? And whenever people are trying to book a movie ticket or like a concert ticket, you don't just get overbooked. Once you booked, it's there, you have that place. So I was always wonder why this is happening. So that's where we started working on this parking side of industry, and trying to figure out what are the problems people are facing. It can be both customers, daily commuters, it can be the enforcement side. So altogether, so we worked on it, and we started as a B2C startup, where people can able to reserve parking spot free 3 years ago. Then we went through Founder Institute Accelerator and Tree Frog Accelerator, and many other regional accelerators like Hamilton. We went through Communitech and like a lot many. So that gave us like a lot of idea about, because since we were like a first time like tech entrepreneurs, these learnings were important for us to how we can able to understand what's going on in the market, and what are the problems that we can solve, and how we can solve. So those were very important. So these learnings helped us to understand, and we pivoted rapidly and tried to find our place in the market where we can able to solve. So I believe we went through like a lot of iterations. So we were into B2C, then we were slowly changed our model slightly during the B2C space itself, where we could able to exchange the parking spot. So we've been invented or we developed this concept called sports swap, where people can able to exchange their parking spot for free of cost. But again, we had a challenge for that, because we need to have a big community to establish that. So
Mm-hmm.
as a B2C, we need like a lot of funding to do the market, marketing, as well as put the word out. So
Yeah.
we realized that because like we if we have like 100 people, it's really doesn't make any sense people to exchange their parking spot, because they don't find any. If it is like 1,000, 5,000 people, then that's where it take it more effective. So then we realized we have to provide something for people to come into the app. So those were the learnings we took, and we changed our models rapidly. And now we actually figured out that B2B and B2G model, where we can able to provide real-time parking occupancy to the people, would be like a very good model, where we could work with city for parking enforcement and providing analytics and data to the city. At the same time, use that same technology to provide real-time parking occupancy to the daily commuters. For example, when you go to downtown, you can able to understand how many parking spots are available, so you don't actually need to navigate around. Or let's say you go to a metro station, so you have like two stations nearby within your catchment area. So let's say station A is like fully occupied, and then you
Mm.
don't have to actually drive to that station. So you will have that information before you start the journey, or like a so it's been updated like every 1 minute, which would be helpful for everybody. So I would love to say, so we didn't have this uh, uh, thing that we used to do in India. For example, when we go out, we will just simply go out. But when I came here in Canada, when we go out, we actually check the weather, what's happening and what would be happening, right? So we started using the weather app all the time. So it is similar to that, right? People can able to check the app. It's totally free. It's just that we need to build the infrastructure everywhere. Like Newmarket, we need to expand the network to whole GTA or like whole Ontario or like whole Canada. So that's where like currently we are working on. So once we have that infrastructure, then when people go out, like simply when they check the weather app, they can also check, is there any parking spots available near to my favorite restaurant? So they can navigate easily to that parking
So
spot.
what made you move? I mean, you came here to do some education. Get that? I get that. But what made you move? Right into entrepreneurship. I mean, yeah, does the family have a history in India of running their own business? So, I mean, I'm just curious to see how you got down this road, if you like.
So my father was like a very he was like very into entrepreneurship, but he didn't have that support from the family at that time because it was like a different generation at that time, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
He always had that, and when I completed my studies, then I slowly started on the designing side of it. So we had like a small oil and gas engineering design company where we do
Mm,
offshore engineering designs and those kind of things.
mm,
So before that is like before I moved to Canada. So there was a period that when oil prices came really down, and it was like not really sustainable for we were not getting much of the works
yeah.
because we were not the company doing the whole work. So we were the subcontractors of the subcontractors of the subcontractors. But that was like my prior experience after studies to the business. But so I decided to do a business program over here in Canada when I moved to Vancouver. So that would help me to understand more about Canadian economy, more about how we do business. So the doing business and doing tech startup is really different,
Mm,
because it's like another level. So we have like need to like learn a lot of things, which I would say I learned it through the process.
okay.
I was happy that I could support a little bit of like smaller businesses in Sault Ste. During the period of COVID. So that ignited a little bit of interest in tech entrepreneurship. And then I also so with the support of city, I had a chance to take my work permit to start a visa program.
Hmm.
So through start a visa program, I could able to get permanent residency. But right now it is it used to take 8 months to get that permanent residency, because due to COVID and everything, it took almost like it is actually going on. I haven't even received my permanent residency yet.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so right now we are running in about 3.5 years. I don't want to complain against it, but I know it can be like a lengthy process and everything. But I'm hoping now I'm seeing some sort of like actions happening in my application. So I am hoping, fingers crossed, they can able to process that immediately, because
Mhm.
that would help me to improve my mobility. For example, if I need to go to US, because US is like one big market for us as well, because we have actually got a couple of project interests came from US. But as of now, it's a little bit difficult for me to do that mobility. But some of our founders do have US visa, so they are going for it as of now. But personally, I missed many opportunities to expand to US market just because of this.
Stay ahead of the game with our expert tips and strategies that will help your business thrive in a digital era. CanadasPodcast.com. Subscribe now.
And it's interesting. You've used various sort of startup kind of incubator. Uh, why don't you give us a little bit? Thinking about people listening that are at the same stage. Why don't you give a little bit of input on the good, the bad, and the ugly of that I'm pretty familiar with it myself. But why don't you you're right up close kind of thing at the moment.
So accelerators are, I would say, really helpful, but you don't actually want to go to the, to the keyhole of that, like, continuously doing more accelerators, which we did. The reason why we did more accelerators right after Founder Institute. Founder Institute was like real, good accelerator for us to put us in the map because when I moved from Sault Ste. Marie to Kitchener to expand. I didn't had any network. So that affected me very badly. I was trying to get into more accelerators. I was trying to attend a lot of networking sessions and everything, but it was not going anywhere. And we were pretty early stage at that time as well. I couldn't, so we tried very hard to get into the accelerators, but when we got into FI, that's where things started making more difference to us. So we learned a lot from FI. Then that opened up a lot of windows for making new connections, network in the tech startup world, especially in Kitchener Toronto corridor, which is
absolutely it's very good corridor. Yeah.
Exactly. So now we would say because of all those accelerators, we are in the system, in the network. So we have like a very good connectivity as of now. So one thing that we did, even though most of the accelerators do a little bit of the same job, the reason why we did like a lot of regional accelerators was that we wanted to connect with the local cities or municipalities as well as more primary players in that specific region. So that's why we did like a lot of regional accelerators. But other than that, we recently finished Plug and Play, which is one of the third largest tech accelerators in the world. So right after Y Combinator, Techstars, Plug and Play is really good. The reason why we did Plug and Play was that it helped us to connect with the corporates as well. So their model was like entirely different from Y-Space or Techstars, where they fund the startups with a little bit of share, as well as they give the trainings and everything. But Plug and Play is a little bit different, where they support you through the entrepreneurial journey and everything, but the corporate connections is like really good. So we are starting to leverage that corporate connections and trying to build upon that. So that's the slight difference between other accelerators and Plug and Play. Yeah.
So where are you going to be in the next 5 years? You've started this, you're getting some take up on it. Where do you see where do you see Steeson in the next 5 years?
So we are working on a couple of verticals as of now. Right now, our fixed ALPR system, our fixed parking enforcement and real-time parking occupancy system, which is called ParkSense Plus, is actually took off, and we are trying to establish in many cities. So we already closed one. We are about to close a couple of others as well. So I believe we are working to expand it across Canada and in US as well. Right now we got some projects from US, so we are working on closing that and start the works on those. For next 5 years, we wanted to add more verticals to it, which is we are currently working on as well. So we are about to close a partnership with one of the largest company. I couldn't say the name because since we don't have any agreements finished as of now, but that would help us to do that expansion to different areas and to the different vertical, which is actually the same thing, but helping police enforcement and parking enforcement all together through a mobile enforcement solution. So this is fixed, so that would be a mobile enforcement. So
wow.
so we are hoping to.
Darn. That's scares the crap out of me.
So, so we are trying to expand in both directions as well as on the vertical side as well.
Yeah.
So next 5 years, we believe we have we could close 3 verticals which we are currently planning on. So we are right now doing the R&D with two prominent colleges and one college and one university over here. So once that R&D is finished, then we could open up the second vertical. So within 5 years, we believe we could develop that 3 verticals and expand to US market, North American market, as well as
Cool.
MENA region and Europe as well.
So, especially from challenges, what's the greatest challenge you faced in business today? Not the kind of minutiae of the business, decent kind of thing.
Personally, we actually need more talent. So we are working on it, and the talent what we need is actually how would I say, which can stick to the company, that core team. Right now we have like a very good team, but we wanted to start expanding on it. So that's one challenge what we are facing, to identify a good challenge, but also a good fit. We can find like good talent, but we also need to find that good fit as well. So that's one thing we are doing. On the other hand, expanding or trying to build a connect with cities, which can take a longer time. I understand the process what they are going through, and what we also need to go through and all, but and we are also a startup, but I would say Canadian market is a bit slower than US market, because I am also started experiencing that, because in US a couple of projects which we are talking, which is getting closed very easily and very much much faster way. But over here,
I found that too. Yeah.
Exactly.
In terms of the challenge side of it, how do you handle challenges? You hit things. Have you found a process that allows you to get over the wall, around the wall, whichever?
So we actually try both the methods. We try over the wall. We try to go around it, and the best way we try not to hit the wall. So and like, but again, like you also experience the same thing, right? Like someday we always used to hit the wall, but we try to understand and learn from those mistakes, and try to see what are the other things that we can able to do to avoid next issues and problems. We are like first generation entrepreneurs in our in our family, and we are actually learning most of the things as we are going. So we are making many mistakes, but we are learning from them. But that's where these accelerators are coming in, or these mentors are coming in to help us. We couldn't complain anymore, but we are getting tremendous amount of support from all the directions. It can be city, it can be I know I have told that city is slow, but the cities that what we have engaged with, they are doing like a very good job. They are supporting us in all the directions, Newmarket, Brampton, Vaughan, Markham, and Hamilton. Like I like many cities, so I can't like name everyone, but even including Sault Ste. Marie. So that's where we registered, and we started our whole journey. So we are getting that support through mentors and everything. So that's where we leverage and we understand, our previous mistakes and try not to hit the wall again. And also learning from the mistakes is always the best part.
Canada's podcast is your gateway to success in the world of entrepreneurship. Start listening today. CanadasPodcast.com. Subscribe now.
Seeing as you're in this space of coming from India to here, and really I mean, apart from working and parking, that kind of hourly thing, I mean, what advice would you give, somebody like you, and me, by the way? I'm also an immigrant, and I also came and did entrepreneurship within 24 months of coming here, kind of thing. So, what advice would you give, somebody that's just landed, um, uh, and that sees that has this entrepreneurial brain? What advice would you give them in terms of starting a business in the country?
So one thing I would say, you need to understand the market. So when wherever we are from in the home countries, everything would be different here. It is the same matter for if it is the US, or like in US, every state is different. So understand the market. What are things that are going on. You need to learn that. But first of all, the biggest part is that you have to figure out your survival part. Until and unless you figure out how you can survive, because since you are migrating, maybe you would be law of income or law for money. Maybe you would be maybe you will have income from back from India, or sorry, back from the country you're migrating, or something like that. So you need to first figure out the survival part. Try to land on a job, those kind of things. I know, like most of the entrepreneurs don't say this, just because that they directly want to go with their dream and everything. But until and unless you figure out the survival part, it would be really hard for you to focus on building.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely,
yeah, so
agreed.
everybody would say, like, work. I don't know if if somebody would say this, but for me, work Monday to Friday for your bread and butter. Saturday, Sunday, you work for your dream. So try stick on that.
Nice one. I love that. I love that, Steeson. That's really good.
So once you stick that part done, then slowly, then you can work full time. So we used to do food deliveries and everything to fund the projects in the early stage. We bootstrapped it most of the time. Even now we are bootstrapping it, but we have some revenues coming in. We got some grants and everything, which made us a little bit easy, made our life a little bit easier. But the beginning stages, everybody was working full time, and Saturday, Sunday we were doing food deliveries and everything to make a little bit of extra income to put in the startup. That way, slowly we done it, and past 3 years, we build up in a certain way that I could personally survive, and I could put my full time to the company and start working on it. Still, my other co-founders are working, Monday to Friday full time, and on the weekends they are supporting the startup. But once we have a big funding coming in or something like that, then that's where we decided to. Yeah.
Good advice. What's the best piece of advice you've received? That you kind of take around, you carry it around in your pocket. It's always there, always sort of echoing in the back of your brain, kind of thing.
So I would say two things. So one from my father. So he always say, if you want to win a lottery, you have to take a lottery. So that's a one great advice I will always take, which means that you always need to put some work into it. Then only you will get a some sort of a probability or a chance to gain or win or something like that. So until and unless you say, oh, I never won a lottery, it's just because that you haven't put any efforts to take that lottery, right? So and you can able to increase your chances of winning. It's just that you can't say that all the odds are against me. It's just that what all the things that what we can do, we can able to increase our chances. So there are like a lot of things that, for example, the regulatory thing, which is not in our hands. We can't do anything about it. But there are a lot of other things. Maybe that regulatory would come into some sectors, then you might could pivot to other sectors or something like that. So you can able to increase your chances by putting, for example, buying more lottery tickets. Like that can be like a very good analogy, right? At the same time, my second advice is that always learn from the mistakes. And another thing, what I would love to say to all the entrepreneurs who is just starting up, idea doesn't value much nowadays. Everybody have the idea. It's just you have to put the work in it. And
it's execute. I had a friend that, someone, a mentor, said, ideas are cheap. Execution is everything.
Execution is
really,
important.
yeah,
And
it's really good.
At the time when they try to, even me also personally, like at the time when I started, I was like very afraid that somebody gonna steal my idea, because like when I worked on SportsWeb and everything, it can be easily implemented or like developed. It's not that SportsWeb is nothing like ParkSense Plus. It's not like a AI. It's not like we are adding reinforcement learning or nothing highly technical in SportsWeb. So I was always a little bit afraid to to share what all things that's going on, because some big companies can able to copy, or like some new some people would have some technical knowledge can able to copy the technology and everything. But one mentor I've always try to teach me this was that you have to share. It's not the idea. It is really hard for people to implement it. So even though if he copied the idea or something like that, the implementation part is the hardest part. So if you are working full time, or maybe 90 20 sorry 100 hours of a week or something like that, then you are much farther from the guy who started. So it's just that you don't have to afraid about somebody steal your idea, right? So yeah.
Okay, let's move away from the serious stuff.
Sure.
And finish off with what I call rapid fire questions.
Yeah.
If you weren't doing what you're doing now, what would you be doing instead?
So I would be doing a delivery company, the delivery robot thing for underground. So that would be the one I would be planning. So that's one vertical that we are currently planning to integrate, because right now we are working on some sort of like a autonomous solution. So that can be another vertical as well. So yeah.
What book are you currently reading, or podcast are you listening to, kind of thing?
I always like 0 to 1. I always everybody would say 0 to 1, so 0 to 1 is like really good. It's like a very opener. And I used to get I used to listen to Paul Graham from YC. So that also really good.
Are you a morning or a night person?
I'm a night person. I'm 100% night person, and most of our developers are back in India. Most of them are friends as well. That we have given the work to India. It's just our friends, so I need to sit back during the night time because of the time differences. But again, I am a night person.
If you had to pick one word to describe yourself, what would it be, and why would you choose it?
I would say, scrappy, resilient. Yeah.
Okay, good. What's keeping you up at night?
Oh, all these things, especially we believe that we can able to achieve something. And we are in a great track. It took us a lot of time to get into that area, but during that period we had that that we wanted to go to the summit, and we want to reach the summit. So that was the thing keep me up all the night. But now we are sort of, I would say, we are not there yet, but we are almost at least the half the point where we could at least see the little bit of a portion of a summit. So yeah.
Okay, good. Steeson, we're kind of out of time, but thanks very much for coming on. It's been really good getting your story. How could people get a hold of you online?
So yeah, they can reach out to my email. So steeson@live.com. That is STEESON @live.com, LIVE.com.
Okay. Thanks very much, Steeson.
Thank you.
Great seeing you here. Okay.
Thank you, Philip, and thank you for having me. Have a good day.